Fight for human rights. Ha ha ha. Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind. And then there's a picture of Stitch.
Nice, nice. Okay, so we're gonna head over to the protest. You with me? Okay, let's walk.
The walking
Okay, as long as we're being heard. And this protest is specifically about boycotting Avelo Airlines. So Avelo Airlines has decided to be the first airline contracting with ICE to fly people for deportations. They haven't, a bunch of that is to El Salvador and things like that. And so we are saying no. This is not a profitable choice for Avelo, and this is not okay. So we are standing for human rights and saying no separation of families, no profit in order to separate families. That's what we're saying. And we'd all like to make a real stand and let Avelo Airlines know that this is absolutely not going to be a profitable move for them. And so there are people, there's a fair amount of people here. There's probably at least 100 people here so far and counting. People are still showing up. And yeah, Avelo Airlines contracting with ICE to deport people, separate families, not okay. So we are now live on the air at the protest. This is a protest in solidarity with people nationwide saying no to Avelo Airlines, thinking that it's going to profit by hurting immigrant families and making it possible for them to fly people out to El Salvador and other places in an effort to make it easier for ICE and be the contracted airlines doing that awful deed. And so the idea is that we're protesting today, but this is a kickoff event. This is the kickoff event for a summer worth of protesting if Avelo decides to continue with this terrible choice that it's making. So we're hoping that it will not continue with that choice and we won't have to protest all summer long, but we're going to have some email campaigns. The director of the Eugene airport, which by the way is owned by the city of Eugene. So the city of Eugene is in every way part of this situation and definitely should be included when you want to reach out and say this is not okay. The city of Eugene owning the airport and being behind the idea that they cannot do anything is somebody to talk to, you know? Can they really do nothing? I suspect that's not true. And I think a lot of us feel like we need to do something. And if Eugene is going to say it's a sanctuary city, and Eugene is going to say that it's not allowing human rights to be violated by this crazy agenda that we got going on with this administration, then it makes sense that we take it to them. I didn't actually know this because I didn't really understand exactly the relationship between the Eugene airport and the city of Eugene, but it is in fact owned by the city of Eugene, the airport. And so the city needs to stand behind the people and stand behind its word. I mean, the city has basically been saying for quite some time that they are a sanctuary city and that they will not allow the human rights of our immigrants to be violated. And yet, here we are, where they are basically allowing an airlines to fly out of Eugene that is contracting with ICE. So this protest is really, and there are places you can go, stopavelo.org. Stopavelo.org is a location on the internet that you can find information about sending emails to people that are able to be decision makers and do something about the situation. So we also have Avelo EUG. AveloEUG.org is our local organization that is, I'm so not used to being part of the camera. Yeah, I'm on camera, guys. This is Todd World. I'm not used to being on this side of the camera, so I'm like stumbling a little.
But if you aim two cameras together, it makes feedback and it melts it.
Oh, well then we better not do that. Hopefully, no melting the cameras. Anyway, our Eugene action is to stop Avelo from flying out of Eugene. So just so folks know, Avelo flies to Burbank weekly, I believe, out of Eugene. And what we want is we're boycotting Avelo. Nobody should be flying an airlines that's willing to violate human rights and separate families in our community like this.
And violating the law.
And violating the law, yeah. So our effort is to say, boycott Avelo Airlines. Don't fly them. Reach out. Tell your city councilors that you want Avelo out of Eugene if they're going to be choosing to contract with ICE like this. And truthfully, Avelo's statement said they thought that they needed to do it in order to help stabilize their company. And what we need to do is make sure that they know this is not going to stabilize their company. As a matter of fact, this is going to destabilize their company, right? Because they're making a choice that is hurting families, violating human rights, breaking the law, and we are not going to sit around and say, you're good to go, you can make money off of us. We're not doing that. So we're going to work hard to make it so that people understand at Avelo Airlines, this is not a profitable choice. You will lose money if you make this choice. And that is what this protest is the kickoff event for. It's meant to be making sure that Avelo Airlines hears loud and clear across the country. So there's a lot of people all across the country today standing in protest saying, no, Avelo Airlines, this is not a profitable decision, and we will affect your bottom line negatively if you continue to make this choice. So that is what this event is for. And I hope that we get them to understand and hear this early on. And maybe they will decide this isn't the right choice and change their decision to the better, because we all have choices during these crazy days where we can decide that we will do whatever it takes to stop people from being hurt, suffering, families from being separated, human rights from being violated, the lack of due process. So many things are going on with this situation. You can tell there's a fair amount of people on the street. They're honking. They're saying, yep, we believe this is wrong and we stand with you. Even if they're not standing in this plaza, which is a very special plaza. You know, this is the old Federal Building Plaza. Many protests have occurred here. And it's important. It's important that we find a way to use our public spaces and gather and say no and protest the situation. So here we are, live on the air on KEPW, trying to make our stand and let Avelo Airlines know this is not okay with us. Eugene does not want Avelo Airlines here if this is going to be their choice. That's what we're saying today. And I am going to do some more tech work here and make sure that my monitors know that I need to be told that I'm sorry guys, I know I'm live on the air, but I gotta do the tech work. I need to make sure that that I'm on the air and I'm staying on the air. All right, so I am doing my due diligence here. I am gonna make one more One more text here, and then I will be back at it, guys. Thank you for listening to KEPW, and thank you for caring about your community and being here on the air. You know, one of the things that we're trying to do is make it so that people can, you know, even if they can't make it, they can be a part of it, and they can learn what is being shared at these protests. There's a lot of them going on these days, and the idea is that we will continue as KEPW to stand up for what we believe is the right way to be, the right choices, and yay, so everybody's listening to my tech moment. I'm glad to hear that we are on the air and we're doing good and things are working. I love this American flag with the rainbow. Yep, so I'm looking at an American flag with a rainbow. Such a nice flag you have there. And yeah, we're live on the air on KEPW right now, sharing what's going on here at the protest in an effort to make it so listeners. Oh, wow.
Chatted around homeless applicants.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Here we are. We're still at it. It seems like a really vital resource these days because we're controlling our messaging, right? I noticed that we don't really have any news outlets here right now, but we sure are getting a fair amount of humans here, which is fabulous. I would say we might have definitely over 100 people here. And the cool thing is that this event is happening nationwide, right? People all over the nation are saying, Avelo Airlines, bad decision, hope you change it because it could be your demise. So that's the effort. That's why we are out here. So they're gonna start having some speakers, which is gonna be great because then I won't be the one. I'm just kind of holding onto the airwaves here, making it possible when they start to speak, we will be on it. We've got great signs, eyes on ice. There's a lot of good signs here. Boycott Avelo, lots of boycott Avelo signs. My husband's gonna get here. He has this captain's hat he got in Venice, and his sign will say, Avelo pilots strike for human rights. And I really like that, and that will be his message when he arrives with his captain's hat. He thought that would be a very effective way of messaging. There's so many signs. There's some hands-off signs, which, you know, hands off our immigrants, man. We have a beautiful immigrant family here in this country, in our communities. I love so many humans that are involved. Oh, yay. Now you guys will get to hear somebody besides me.
Test. Is that better? Is that the same? JP, I need you. Help. JP.
All right, so Rob from the
JP.
PSL, which is a great organization.
Oh, he's over there. Yeah.
And he is going to be one of the speakers today. And boycott Avelo. And you know what? I love these butterflies. We so need some change. We need some change. I love the butterflies. They mean a lot to me. Personally, I've been a butterfly girl my whole life. Lots of change. I feel like we need it. We need that metamorphosis into the communities that we really believe in, right? We definitely have some communities that stand for what they believe in here where we live. And I am thankful for that. And I'm thankful for the people that show up to say things like this are not okay. Like an organization like a corporation like Avelo Airlines needs to understand that people aren't going to put up with it. They're not going to give you their business if you're choosing to hurt our community members. That's just how it is. So we're still waiting. It looks like Rob's getting close to being ready. Gonna make my way back up here. I just wanted to kind of continue to show signage where that upside down flag means it all to me. We are so in distress right now. This country is so in distress.
Test. Oh, okay. Great. How's that volume? Good? Better? Yeah. All right, good. All right, if everybody wants to gather up, we're going to get started. We've got a relatively condensed, relatively short, but you know, when you take a thing and you condense it and shorten it, you make the quality of it a lot better. And that's what we're doing today. We're doing a relatively short, relatively condensed program, but it's going to be great. And I thank you all so much for coming out. We're going to get started here since we're all here. So just a few quick announcements. So we're going to do a little program here. Our plan is to be here till about 1 o'clock. So if you have a sign and you want to stay, sharing information like advancing the knowledge of our community by talking about the Avelo, by sharing about the Avelo campaign toward the street, we're going to be here doing that. If you don't have a sign, we actually do have some sign making materials back over here. So if you wanted to go make some, we have a few. They might run out, so you know, first come, first serve. There are people walking around with clipboards, so you can sign up for updates about the remainder of the campaign. We're here today to talk about this, but we have a campaign that's going to be rolling out over the summer. And so some good ways to stay connected to that campaign are: 1, to see someone with a clipboard and sign up; 2, to find someone who has like a little quarter sheet flyer with a QR code to our Signal, our Lane County Immigrant Defense Network Signal group announcement chat. We're going to be putting a lot of information out there. So get a quarter sheet or sign up with someone with a clipboard to stay connected to the rest of the campaign. More about that later. Don't see any police around, which is great. But if we do, and if they come and try to talk to you, don't talk to them. You don't have to talk to them. We have a gentleman over here named Stan with Indivisible Eugene Springfield. He's the gentleman you should direct the police to if they have any questions. Okay. And, you know, just be mindful of the fact that when we're out here, we're keeping each other safe. So this means look out for each other. It means stay within your comfort zone and take care of yourself if you need to. Don't jump in the street. These cars go fast. They will kill you. And it also means don't talk to the police. Send them to Stan. So why are we here? So first of all, I think most of us can agree that we're pretty mad, pretty angry about the escalation in attacks against our immigrant neighbors that we're seeing from the Trump administration. Yes? Yes! Yeah. This pisses us off. Yeah. We're not happy about this. And so what happened, so that's just us. That's just us. That's like normal, regular ass people are extremely mad about this. Avelo Airlines is not mad about this. They're actually excited. They were excited to see the increase in deportations. They were so excited that they went and ran to sign a contract with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, with ICE, to actually run those deportation flights. Instead of being mad, like you all are, in defense of our neighbors, they were like, we can make some money here. And they went and made a contract with ICE, and they've already started running those deportation flights. I agree. Shame.
Shame on them.
So Avelo Airlines flies 3 flights in and out of Eugene every week, between Eugene and Burbank. Relatively small. They don't need to be here. They don't need to be here doing this if this is the kind of behavior that they want to do with their business. Also in Salem, they actually receive subsidies for their work in Salem from the state and from the city. They also fly out of Medford. They also fly out of Bend, in and out of Bend. And in something like 54 airports across the country, a lot of smaller ones, right? And so we, with the Party for Socialism and Liberation, I should say, I'm Rob, I'm with the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, we put out a statement about this when the Yale Daily News broke the story, like a month and a half ago. And then momentum has been picking up around this issue to the point that it's now a national campaign. And in between, there were several groups here locally that expressed interest, concern, anger, like all of you, and wanted to help organize a campaign to get Avelo out of Eugene, Avelo out of EUG. So those groups so far are Indivisible Eugene Springfield. Been doing a lot of great work organizing that community. The Refugee Sanctuary Group at the Unitarian Universalist Church is involved in organizing the event. Local branch of Showing Up for Racial Justice, or SURGE, also doing a lot of great organizing work in our community. And we've been endorsed by several additional organizations for this campaign: KPW Peaceworks, United for Immigrant Justice, and others that I'm forgetting now because it's hot. But I'll mention them later when I remember. When confronted with the fact that people don't like this, Avelo said two things. First, they said they're doing this to stabilize their business, to be able to expand their passenger service and take care of their employees. We reject that. We reject that. Second, they said, listen guys, this is not political. They said it's not political. We did this also during the Biden administration. Well, and I'll give a quick fact check about that. That's true. They did run deportation flights during the Biden administration. And so I think we all kind of owe it to ourselves and owe it to our neighbors to kind of reflect on this fact, like why we didn't know, why we weren't out here yet, out here then, as we think about why we're out here now and why we're ready to commit to this sort of campaign at this point, like what that energy is that's mobilized us. Definitely one of the things that's different is that the press cares a lot. The press didn't do a lot of reporting about Avelo Airlines in the Biden administration, but they're doing it now.
Maybe there was due process.
So the media then picked up this story, and we got a response from Eugene Airport Assistant Director Andrew Martz. Andrew Martz's statement was tragically pathetic, I'm sorry to say. He said that Avelo is not changing their business here in Eugene. They're not running deportation flights out of Eugene. So we don't think we don't think there's anything for us to do. I've been trying to think of a suitable analogy for this, but it really blew my mind, and I couldn't really wrap my head around it. Like, if you have some company that, like, its business in New Jersey is to just, like, murder a bunch of people, and then they come to Oregon and do business and they're not murdering people here. I don't see anyone saying, like, well, they're not doing it here, so it's actually fine, right? They would never extend that benefit of the doubt to any of us. Like, I rob a 7-Eleven in Washington, but then run back across the border. And they're like, well, he got away. There's nothing we can do. So I think we reject Andrew Martz's logic that because it's not happening here, we don't have to care. The city and the airport have thrown up their hands and say, there's nothing we can do. We could get in legal trouble if we do this with the FAA, if we try to throw them out. Now, we understand that when we have demands and we bring them to our political leaders, it is very common for them to say, first, there's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied. And that's the point of political organization. That's the point of making a political argument, is making them understand that that's not an acceptable answer to us. So can I get a hell yeah?
Heck yeah!
So another note that I would make before we move on to our first speakers is that they're on the defensive about this. They're putting out statements all the time, like, hey, you know, this is just business. Even the city people, they're saying, hey, listen, really, there's nothing we can do. And it's really important that we examine that logic, especially in the context of this week, when the Trump administration put out its sort of naughty boy jurisdiction list. I don't know if you all saw this. They put out a list of all the naughty boy jurisdictions that have sanctuary policies, that have strong sanctuary protections. On that list are the state of Oregon.
Good for us.
On that list is Lane County. And on that list is the city of Eugene. And so we have to understand how they're going to use that leverage, how they're going to use the federal leverage to try to get us to eliminate those protections. The way they're going to do that is by pressuring us financially and legally. They're going to say, if you don't get rid of your sanctuary protections, we're not giving you this money. Or if you don't get rid of your sanctuary protections, we're going to sue you. We're taking you to court. So they threaten you legally, they threaten you financially. And if you're a state, a county, or a city with strong sanctuary protections, and then you're living in a county, city, or state whose leaders will give in once the pressure is on. It's very easy to say the right thing when the pressure is not on. This is the pressure coming on, and that's the kind of pressure that we need to build against the city, against the airport, about Avelo Airlines, because we know that this is not just to have them just making money in our community, while they're also deporting our neighbors in the most violent ways. So, with that in mind, I want to bring up our first speaker. Many of you may know Rev Jen from the Unitarian Universalist Church. She's going to speak to us a little bit. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I am the Reverend Jen Youngsun Rue. I am a Unitarian Universalist minister. I am your neighbor, and I am an immigrant. When I was 6 years old, I got on an airplane and I flew from Seoul, South Korea to Los Angeles to Dallas. That flight was scary and it was so exciting. It was the beginning of a brand new life for us that would offer every member of my family education and fulfilling careers. On one memorable day in 1987, my dad took me out of school and took me to an appointment at the federal office building in Toledo, Ohio. And that was the day I became a U.S. citizen. So lately I've been wondering if there's anything left to the American dream. Some days I feel very despairing about it, and then other days I come out to gatherings like this, and sometimes I will watch videos of naturalization ceremonies, and then I am buoyed and I find some hope, and I say, yes, we can still be the people we want to be. I believe that most of our neighbors are good and decent people. And I know that a lot of them are overwhelmed and stressed by the velocity of news coming toward them. They may be unaware and they may be misinformed, but I tell you that I believe that most of us agree that everybody, regardless of immigration status, possesses inherent worth. Everybody deserves compassion, mercy, and dignity, because we are all human beings, born of this earth and endowed with inalienable rights. Eugene is a community that strives to welcome everybody. But when Avelo Airlines, the only commercial airline contracted to fly deportation flights for ICE, when they operate out of our airport, that welcome rings hollow. Avelo is profiting from deporting people. Many times they are in shackles before their asylum cases can even be heard. And while these deportation flights don't literally depart from Eugene, Avelo's partnership with ICE betrays the values of our city.
Yeah. Yep.
It also betrays the stated values of the Eugene airport itself. And so we say to them, not in our town, not in our airport, and not in our name. Whether you are a person of faith or no faith, this is a moral moment. Let this be a moment not only of protest, but also of promise. A promise not to turn away. A promise to not let cruelty become normalized. A promise to act. And so we unite in solidarity with our immigrant neighbors. We unite for human dignity, and we will not be silent.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Rep. Jen. Some of you may know, actually, there was recently an expose on ProPublica about these deportation flights. Avelo is the only commercial airline that flies them, as Rev. Jen said, but there are charter airlines that do this. So boycott all the charter airlines that you currently do business with as well, for the most part. Probably we don't do that. That's why Avelo is like a good target. One of the expose was there were several whistleblower flight attendants talking about what these flights are like. And I just thought I'd quote a little bit because of this question of what they're actually like. Why, beyond just the concern of getting our neighbors taken away from us, what is going on? Here's what some of the flight attendants say. The flights had their own set of rules, which the crew members said they learned from a company policy manual. Don't talk to the detainees. Don't feed them. Don't make eye contact. Don't walk down the aisles without a guard escorting you. Don't sit in aisle seats where detainees could get close to you. Don't wear your company-issued scarf because of safety concerns that a detainee might grab it and use it against us. Don't use your company-issued scarf. I think there are a lot of other reasons that they wouldn't want flight attendants wearing their company-issued scarf. Imagine the photos that this could generate for those companies. And Avelo understands that too. With the media campaign as it's been developing, they started running these flights. The first thing that they did is they took the planes to, I forget exactly where, I think it was in El Paso maybe. They took them to one of their hubs and they painted them all white. They painted the logo off the planes. They understand that nobody is okay with this, right? And so their job is to try to do it, and, to get the money and also not hurt their reputation. And that's our job. That's our job, to hurt their reputation. Next I want to bring on the Immigrant Defense Network.
Hi everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay. When I heard that Avelo Airlines, a company that markets itself as family friendly, is working with ICE to run deportation flights, I felt sick. This is personal for me. My name is Chrisia. I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation in Eugene, and I'm the daughter of Salvadoran immigrants. A lot of my family members migrate to the US either directly because of the Salvadoran Civil War inflicted by the US in the 80s or because of the wars. I would like to tell you about one of my family members. I'll call her Elena to remain anonymous. She migrated here many years ago, legally on a work visa, but was never granted permanent residency because the system does not care if you do things right. She lives in suffocating fear that one day she will go to work and not come home. Fear that she'll be ripped away from her toddler, ripped away from all of us who love her. Elena is currently pregnant, and she's gonna have a baby girl. I think about her a lot when I see the news. Recently, there was a deportation flight from the US to Colombia on a charter airline. 2 pregnant women were on that flight. Can you imagine? Shackled, restrained. I can't stop thinking about what that flight must have been like for them. The fear, the humiliation, the cruelty. I think about Elena. What if she had been on that flight? What would it do to her body, her baby, her heart? What would her deportation do to her toddler, who clings to her every night when she puts him to bed? What would it do to our family to have her ripped away from us? I know many of us here care about due process. We care that people should have at least the chance to plead their case, to be treated fairly, to have a case in court. And I agree. Nobody should be snatched out of the street, disappeared in the middle of the night, or deported in secret without so much as a hearing. That is a basic violation of dignity and justice. But I also need us to think bigger than that. Because if every box is checked, even if every piece of paper is perfectly filed, even if the judge says this deportation is legal, that doesn't make it right. Legality is not the same as justice. We have to ask ourselves, is it ever just to tear a mother from her child?
No.
To shackle pregnant women and fly them out of the country like cargo?
No.
To tell a person they don't belong here simply because of where they were born?
No.
That's why it's so shameful that Avelo Airlines, an airline that markets itself as being family-friendly, community-oriented, has chosen to partner with ICE to carry out deportation flights. Avelo is the only commercial airline to have done this. They're helping ICE tear families apart, and they're profiting from it. They operate these flights with people shackled, barely able to move, and unable to get up, even to go to the bathroom. They do this knowing that if there's any kind of emergency, that everyone on board, except the crew, is almost guaranteed to die. Flight attendant whistleblowers have said this explicitly. We need to hold Avelo accountable. Any airline that is willing to sacrifice the safety, dignity, and lives of hundreds of passengers just for a little money. To be honest, if you care nothing about justice, human rights, and dignity, and only about self-preservation, boycotting Avelo is the obvious choice. But especially if you also care about those things, boycott Avelo and spread the word to everyone you know to do the same. They made this choice to profit financially. We have to make them suffer financially for it.
Yeah.
So step 1, the thing most in our control, whether they happen to have the most convenient schedule or the cheapest flights or anything like that, do not give them your business, please. That is first. We know that in our society, companies take actions that will make profit. They are legally required to maximize profit. We need a system that put people and planet over profit. But in the meantime, other companies need to know that if they engage in this disgusting business and also want our business, that it will hurt financially. If you care about families, if you care about justice, please join our calls to action, which will be ongoing throughout the summer and until Avelo ends their contract or leaves Eugene. Please make your voice heard. We will have updates and calls to action on our webpage, through our mailing list, which you can join by finding someone with a clipboard. They have physical signups and also a QR code. And we'll also be putting those calls to action out through our Lane County Immigrant Defense Network signal announcements, which people are passing out quarter sheets with the QR code to join. Those calls to action will include calling and emailing the airport executives who make these decisions, city council, and the mayor who control policy at the city level for an airport that the city owns. and coming to the Airport Advisory Committee meeting on June 18th at 12 p.m. at the Eugene Airport as well. There are some folks passing out sign-ups. Please join the Immigrant Defense Network on Signal to be updated in real time. Let's show Avelo and the world that Eugene cannot stay silent. We need to fight for a world where nobody has to live in fear of being taken away, and we need to do this together. Thank you.
I've got us live on air just for a minute
Thank
more.
you, Christian. To this question, what are flight attendants supposed to do if there's an emergency? Everyone is shackled and chained to their seat. I don't know if you've probably been in an airplane before. I think one of the first things they do is they give you the little security briefing of what you're supposed to do if there's an emergency. I think you can probably imagine what would change if your legs were shackled together and your hands were shackled together and you were in chains tied to your seat. The flight attendant said the rare guidance some flight attendants said they received on carrying out ICE air evacuations came during briefings from pilots. When they heard what they heard, they said was chilling and went against their training. Just get up and leave, when recalled a Global X, that's one of the charter airlines, a Global X pilot telling him, that's it, save your life first. That was a normal briefing, said a flight attendant. If a fire occurs in the cabin, if we land on water, don't check on the immigrants. Just make sure that you and the guards and the people that work for the government get off. It was as if the detainees' lives were worthless, said the other. And this is whistleblowing about things that have happened in previous administrations, not just this one. So there's just a couple of more things I want to add before we close out the program. So first, I wanted to read a quick update. So the campaign against Avelo Airlines is one of the actions that we're taking this summer in response to the Trump administration's actions against our immigrant neighbors. There are many other organizations doing a lot of good work, a lot of other work forming, and you should get connected to some of that work. You know, one of that is through the Lane County Immigrant Defense Network, which you're getting quarter sheets for. There are a lot of other organizations doing good work, and one of them goes by the name United for Immigrant Justice. They've actually been in town here doing this work through administration after administration for decades. Dating back, I saw some of the people still involved wrote a report in 1997 responding to an ICE raid, the biggest ICE raid in the history of Eugene, actually, during the Clinton administration. But they had an update that they wanted to share about ICE operating in Eugene, and my phone is locked, so now I have to unlock it. So as you may know, there's an ICE office here. It's actually right over there. About a month and a half ago, we had a rally here. We called it ICE Out of Lane County. And it was largely about, telling them to get out. Well, what they did is, what this ICE office is for is, it's for one thing, it's for, the people to just sit and hang out with before they go do like little raids and then go back and hang out some more. But also people that are here in town seeking refugee status who are otherwise on, don't have citizenship status and are on their radar, regularly have to go into the office to do check-ins. If they ever say, come in and do a check-in, you have to go, or you might get a deportation order put on you. So they have to go to these appointments. So this is from United for Immigrant Justice leadership. They said, United for Immigrant Justice leadership team has just learned that as of June 1st, that's tomorrow, those who are required to report in person for check-ins with ICE will no longer be able to do so at the local offices in Eugene and in Medford. Instead, all personal check-ins will be transferred to Portland. The partial closure of local ICE offices will only create increased hardship in terms of time, logistics for accompaniment and transportation, and additional financial burdens on those who need to check in with ICE in person. We're making decisions with our activist networks about how to support individuals impacted by this closure, and we'll let you know how you can help. And if you want to check in with me after, I can get you connected to how to stay in touch with the work that they're doing. In the meantime, we urge you to contact your congressional representatives and senators to alert them about this situation. Making ICE offices more inaccessible for in-person check-ins is malicious, creating significant additional barriers for individuals trying to meet requirements.
So purposeful.
So that's it. So we said get out, and they were like, fine, we'll take out the part that's most convenient to you, and otherwise we'll stay.
Of course.
And so getting connected to these programs that do like transportation, if you're someone who has extra time and is able to actually transport people to and from Portland and back, these are really important programs that a lot of organizations, like every day, in and out, are doing that sort of work. And if you're able to get connected to something like that, then check in with me after. The last thing I would say is that, Avelo Airlines is not unique. There are a lot of companies that profit in this disgusting space. They profit off of the deportation and detention of our neighbors and off of this machine, off of this system. And a lot of them are not public-facing companies like Avelo that we can just boycott, right? A lot of them are like the Geo Group. They run detention centers, like they run the detention center in Tacoma, where today there's a really big event going on, Free Them All, outside of Tacoma, outside of the detention center in Tacoma. Geo Group purchased, a company that does ankle monitors. They're like, well, if we stop detaining people, then we will lose our source of profit. So they acquired a different company that produces ankle monitors. The company is called Behavioral Intervention Incorporated, something like this. They started as a company in 1978 creating tracking devices for cattle. And then they transitioned into making tracking devices for humans. And then they were purchased by Geo Group, who was like extremely excited about these opportunities with the Trump administration to do more deportation. So keep all of these things in mind. There are people handing out, quarter sheets, half sheets with other information about how to get connected. And thank you so much for coming. Please hang out and share the word about the campaign. Make a sign if you need to. Come check in with me. Talk to anyone else around. Get to know your neighbors. And let's make it a summer that Avelo will always live to regret.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, so thank you everyone for listening to this important information about Avelo Airlines. I am going to get ready to go off the air. There'll be Stand Up, Be Heard coming on next. Just so everyone knows, there's at least a couple hundred people down here in Eugene now. This is the Avelo Airlines protest in Eugene. It is also a protest happening all over the country to tell this airlines, no, it's not okay to violate human rights, break the law, hurt our immigrant neighbors, separate families in the name of profit. And there is a website, stopavelo.org, that you can go to find out more information about who to email. There's the city of Eugene, which turns out owns the Eugene airport. So those guys can stop this. They can say, we are going to end this contract with Avelo, or at the very least not allow them to restart a new contract. And that I know they can do. I looked it up. The FAA does not stop an airport from refusing to sign a contract with a particular airlines. So that is something that can be done. And I personally wrote my letter to the director, who seemed to think that it didn't matter what they do elsewhere because they're not deporting from here right now. But what we want is for Avelo to understand it is not a profitable decision and it's not okay. And I am going to continue to be here in protest after we give it up for Stand Up, Be Heard. Thank you everyone for listening.
I was going to jump.
Okay, I just